Right. Welcome back to Sversity again. Sversity is a learning service from Koyya Enterprises. And this session is second part of the HTML quick review that we were doing as part of the MERN learning path and its front-end fundamentals. In the previous session on HTML quick review, we looked at what is HTML document structure looks like, some of the head elements, some of the body elements. We understood like what is good and what is bad with respect to using those elements. In the second part of the session, we'll be looking at some of the illustrations. On the screen, what you see is a resume. There is a heading or title called resume, below which we have some name of the candidate. And then we have some link and that is an email link, phone number, some text, and there is a line, horizontal ruler. There is some paragraph. Again, there looks like a heading, and there is a table with 2 columns. Another heading, a table with 2 columns. Another heading, an unordered list, and there is some text. All right. So this is how the resume is appearing. If the resume is supposed to appear in this manner, I know it is not a very attractive resume. It's not attractive from the presentational perspective. We will be adding all those decorations, frills later. But first we need to get the content right. The resume should have this content. A heading called a resume, then there is a candidate name, their address, summary, academics, experience, skills. This is the actual content. In order to build a HTML document which will be rendered like this, let's see how we, as a developer, writes the HTML markup. So this is part of it, you can see. So I started with doc type, which represents that it is HTML document. There is a head section in which I have put the title called resume. And then I set the character set to UTF-8, author name I specified, viewport I specified, and some keywords with respect to this document. As I mentioned, it is always a good practice to have the viewport, char set, authors, and etc. as meta elements. And then comes the body. In the body, I am using some semantic elements. This header is different from this head. Head is a HTML element that is under HTML, a root element. I'm not giving that as of now. And directly I'm writing the head here. Under the header, this is HTML semantic element that we have seen in the past. This is header section, and then I have the main section. That is how I am writing this. So in the header section, I have the biggest heading, then the next heading. Then I am having an anchor tag pointing to an email ID, and the rest of the text is as usual. Then I'm having a div tag. I could have used even paragraph also, but unless it is really a paragraph, better you just go with the div tag. A liner. Enough that my header is completed. In the main, I have a section. Main has several sections, right? Academics, experience, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm having a section here. In this section, I'm writing the summary. I am postgraduate in computer science, blah, 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 as a paragraph, because it is really a paragraph. You can see this is really a paragraph. And then comes a section for academics, another section for experience, another section for skills. 3 different sections, 1, 2, 3. And then in the final section, I am writing those, the declaration and the date and time, like what you see in the bottom. So this is the basic structure. Now let us expand this further. So in the academic section, I have created a table, I gave border size as 1 so that the lines appear. Here you are seeing those lines, right? The line width is 1 point. And in the header section, I have 2 columns. First column is qualification, second column is university. In the body section, I have 2 rows with MTech, BE, and blah, blah, blah. So this is first table with 2 columns. In another section, I'm using that third level heading. You always should go H1, then H2, and then H3 in that order. It is always better to go in that order. Again, it is a 2 by 2 table only. So same thing, just like I created the academics table, here I have the experience table. In the third section, I have the skills, but the skills are not presented as a table. Rather, we want to have it as a list. That list is also not having any index. It is just only bullet points. So that means I'll be using unordered list. Each line will become one list item. Each line becomes one list item. So once you keep these sections in these places, you'll be having the full-fledged document. You'll be having the full-fledged document. And this entire thing must be under HTML tag. Just to save some space, I'm not writing the HTML tag here. Otherwise, this entire thing, the head and body, both of them must be under HTML tag. Now let us look at another illustration. This time we are going to have not just read-only text, but also some interactive stuff. So we want to run a small quiz. So this is how the quiz page appears. Quiz is the title, heading on the display screen. There is a ruler, 2 headings. Invariably, they are looking a little smaller compared to quiz. And there is a list with the order. And there is another list with order again, 2 elements here. And in each of them, there is again an ordered list with ABC, ABC. And these are all radio buttons. So either you select Calcutta or New Delhi or Madras, or you select 1000 or 500 or 4500. Only one of them you should be able to select. So they are radio buttons. And then I have submit answers as the button. So once you click here, the answers must be submitted. And then there is some label or title. Okay, so how the code look like? Let's see. So again, I'm skipping that HTML tag. I have header. Looks exactly same like the past one. Instead of, what is that? The resume, now we titled it as quiz. Everything else, I just keep it same. In the body, I have again header and main with a couple of sections. In the header, I have the quiz with the ruler. This is the header, this part. And I have 2 sections here, right? Instructions and questions. So under the instructions, I have an ordered list. If I do not give any type, it is automatically alphanumerical. So it will show like 1, after 2, after 3, and etc. So 2 instructions are there, and then I have the questions. Since these questions are having some buttons and other things which I need to submit, this entire thing must be part of a form. This entire thing must be part of a form. So that's how in the second section, under the main, I am having this form. What would be the content of the form? This one. If you see here, the form is again having 2 questions. This is a list. In real quiz, you may be having 20 questions also. They should appear one after other with some numbering and etc. So they automatically become an ordered list. Each list item is a question. Each list item is a question. Here there are 2 list items, means 2 questions. Each question is having the question, actual question as a paragraph. Here 1 paragraph, here another paragraph. And followed by that, we have an ordered list. This section will be having, this part will be having all the 3 options. So I kept all these 3 options in the div tag so that we can put some styling later. I just kept it that way. In which I have an ordered list with 3 items. Each of these 3 items are having an input radio button. You see here an input radio button. And the type is it's not a numerical, rather alphabet. So they must be like A, B, C. They must come as A, B, C. To get that, I need to mention what is the type. If I say A, it starts from A, then followed by that B and C. That is how it appears. Here also I'm giving ordered list, but there I'm not specifying for the li elements, I'm not specifying any type. If I do not specify any type, as I mentioned, it is numerical. The first one will be 1, second will be 2, 3. It will automatically give that numbering of 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it will be giving the number of A, B, C, and etc. So each li item contains what? The text, and before the text we have the radio box. So here is the radio box. This is an input element. This part is the input element for the radio button. We are saying type is radio. This input type is radio. To identify which radio box we are actually selecting, we need to give a unique identity for them. That is done using an attribute called ID attribute. So here I am having some attribute like Q01A for this, Q01B for this. Make sure that this ID is not repeated in the given document. It must be unique in the given document. Fine. And also we said one of these 3 radio boxes only should be selectable. It is not that you select more than one. How do you make one of the radio boxes among the group to be selected? Only one of them to be selected by forming them as a group. How do you form them as a group? By giving the same name for all of them. You see, this is Q01, same name. For all these 3 radio boxes, we have the same name. It can be anywhere in the document. Here we are sensibly keeping it in the same place, but anywhere you have a radio button with the same name, they all form automatically a group. Within a group, you can select only one box. So which one you selected, you'll be identifying through ID field. In which group, you'll identify it based on the name. But what is that selected? This is a label. This is simply a text that is appearing on the screen. What is that? Kolkata. Here it is New Delhi. Here it is Madras. These are labels. When I submit the form, what is that value? We need to submit it back to the server. You want to submit Kolkata as a value, or you want to say the value that is selected is A. Here it is B. Here it is C. Typically, it makes sense to tell which option you selected rather than writing that entire text. So that's why we are presenting the value. So if somebody selects this radio button, the value of A will be submitted to the server, saying that, see, Krishna has selected for question Q-01, he selected A, or selected B, or selected C, so that you can do the evaluation. Same thing here also. Another li element, again, it is having the indexing is based on ABCs. Then I have the input element, that is radio box. To create all these 3 radio boxes as part of the same group, I have given the same name for all these 3. To indicate which box or which radio button we are selecting, we have given individual identities. This is wrong, right? Just like you have Q01A, B, C, here also it should be Q02A, Q02B, Q02C, something like that. It should be there. Otherwise, it would make it as if like same idea. I'm sorry, this is a mistake. You need to correct it when you are writing this code, and etc. The remaining things are same. All right. So this is how you write a form, and the button within the form. If you have a button, it automatically becomes the submit button. So if you click this button, this data, whatever you selected here, whatever you opted for, that entire data will be submitted to the server. Which server? The server from which this document was initially loaded. If this document is loaded from server X on this browser, when you click on submit, the browser will be submitting all this data back to the same server X only. Now let us look at another one with some images, some multimedia. This is like you are making an order. Let's say you are buying a shirt. So this is how your screen looks like. So you have order and then a line. Then you have blue t-shirt cotton, that the title of the item. You have some image. Followed by that, there is some summary of this particular, item. And then you have some drop downs, delivery address for which you have given a sufficient area to write the entire address. Also pin code separately. And you are selecting, you are also having a check button here or check box to add 5 rupees towards donation to childcare, and followed by that there is the submit button. Let's say you want to develop such a HTML document or a HTML document for this particular screen. Before looking into the code, let's understand what we need to do. This is a heading. You start with H1. This is ruler, that is HR. This is H2. This figure must be there in some place with some file name. You write it using img tag. This entire line, you may write it in a span, sorry, not span, a div, because it is in a separate line. So it should be a div or a paragraph also. Then this entire thing must be a form, because you are selecting some data here. This, at least from quantity till this box, everything must be in the form. Sensibly to see, this entire thing is a form, right? You are essentially making an order. So this is an order form. So these are all select elements. So these are all drop downs for you. This is text area. This is a normal text box, input text box, and this is checkbox, and followed by that is a button. You may write everything in one single body tag, or you may say like this is one section, and this entire thing is another section in which there is a form. You can semantically divide them into smaller sections. So see here again, remember I'm skipping that HTML tag only to save some space. Otherwise, this head tag and body tag must be there under the HTML tag. I'm assuming that you know that. Header or head tag, nothing much different from what we have done earlier. Body tag, semantically I have the header and main. Typically you do that. In the header, I am having the title and the ruler. In the main, I am having few sections. In the first section, I'm having read-only data, like the title of the item, the image of the item, and summary of the item. And then in the next section, I'm writing the form and what or how that form would look like. The form is having a div in which I'm having a couple of selectables. All right. So quantity you should select from a drop down, and size also you should select from the drop down. So select is the tag for which you will be having various options. Option 1, 2, 3, option small, medium, large. They are the ones which appear on the screen. Whereas 1, 2, 3 are the values, or SML are the values that would be actually submitted to the server. For server, you will be giving data that is computationally friendly. Whereas on the screen, you show the text or whatever that is user friendly. Right? If you show SML here, it may not be that great. Small, medium, large is little user friendly. And then this is address, that is text area, right? I'm just having text area here, empty text area. You can just fill in. Text area by default comes with 5 rows. So you just write, and you can expand always on the screen. And then you have the text, text element or text box. And finally, you have the checkbox, right? It is type is checkbox here, a normal label. Checkboxes do not form any group or anything. So just checkbox is enough. An ID is enough. And the input submit box or submit button. So this code gets you this kind of a page. All right, so that's it. These are the illustrations. Now these are the assignments. Develop your HTML documents to once they are rendered, this is how it should appear. This is one assignment you may do. This is a little bit involved assessment or assignment where you are having again a radio group, a button, blah, 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 lists and other things. And in the third assignment, you have a table with some columns spanned or merged together, and so on. You can try these assignments on your own. Okay. And the summary, just before we close, let's look at the summary. All these example code that what we have shown here, they will be appearing on the GitHub or in one Git repository, whose details will be documented in the below this particular video. Right? You can check that thing. But for now, let's just look at the summary only. So as we understood, the HTML documents, they provide the web page content. What they do is every HTML document provide content for web pages so that they are rendered by the web browsers so that we can see them. And these documents may be read locally or received from a web server. The second option is the most likely the option. HTML files should end with HTML or HTM as the extension. HTML5 is the most popular HTML version. And HTML document consists of head and body sections. And the elements, whatever elements we have seen, they are the building blocks of these documents. These elements can be block elements or inline elements we have seen. And some of these elements may have attributes also. Typically, the head section usually contains the title and other meta tags. This body section usually contains the text, the forms, list, label, and other semantic elements. All right, so this is a quick review of HTML. This is not to introduce HTML, remember. If you have covered HTML as part of your academics or something, this is just for us to recollect. All right, so as part of front-end development using MERN stack, we need to look at the CSS fundamentals also. We'll be look forward to them. So in the next thing, what we do, right? See, whatever we have seen are basic HTML elements or HTML document, they look very plain, right? Very boring, in fact. They just contain some content, static content, majorly a lot of text. But this is front end, means user interface. The end user should feel it looks very user-friendly, attractive, and we should be able to involve user in your application. They should not feel bored. So it should appeal to them, for which we'll be going with some decorations. So styling is the one which we do to improve the look and feel of these otherwise boring web pages. How do we do that styling? CSS is the technology, and that's going to be the topic for the next sessions. Okay. For now, we are done with HTML quick review. Make sure you do those assignments before you go to CSS so that you gain command on subject, you gain command on basic HTML, without which you cannot really appreciate the CSS. Thank you.